Ronaldo Lopez does it again, and after four brilliant starts to begin the season, how legitimate is Ronaldo Lopez as a starting pitcher? We'll discuss all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jacob Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Make sure you check out the podcast there as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. We'll be doing a live mailbag episode on Thursday night, so be looking out for my post from LockedOn_Braves to submit your questions for that episode. If you're new on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you have, make sure you hit the thumbs up button as well. If you're listening on the audio version, thank you so much for your support. Make sure you leave me a 5-star review, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Got a fun episode today. We're going to recap Wednesday's game, talk a lot about Reynaldo Lopez, the start that he is off to. How legitimate is that? Should we be considering him as a top of the rotation arm? We'll go over all that on today's episode and more from Wednesday's walk-off win. And then we'll take you around the league, look at some standouts from other teams, look at the standings, what's going on as we prepare for the Braves to take on the Cleveland Guardians this upcoming weekend. Before we do that, though, today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and I am a big fan of Monopoly Go because of that. The mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Let's start with Wednesday's game, a walk-off win 4-3 over the Miami Marlins to complete a sweep of the Miami Marlins. Looked like it was going to be another low-scoring, easy win. Braves up 3-1 going into the ninth inning. Then things got a little wild, which we'll get into more. But I want to start with Reynaldo Lopez, and I want to really break down his start, break down his first four starts that we've seen from him, and just how legitimate is this beginning for Reynaldo Lopez, somebody who has been a starter in the past, but wasn't great as a starter. The White Sox had to move him to the bullpen, and now we're through four starts this season. He is one of the best starters in all of baseball, at least just based on the numbers that you look at. And I don't really know if there's one thing in particular to point to with Reynaldo Lopez, but let's just dive into the numbers. Let's start with what we saw on Wednesday. 7 innings. He goes past the 6th inning this time. He gets through 7, just 3 hits. He did walk 2 in this one. 1 earned run. It was a solo home run, and it came on the only changeup of the game that he threw, a changeup that stayed up and was absolutely destroyed. 6 strikeouts. Only 82 pitches, 55 of those for strikes. I talked about a lot throughout this series with the Marlins. They were very aggressive at the plate. They were not getting into deep counts. They were swinging at everything. We saw it from the Bryce Elder start. He threw 30 pitches in the first 3 innings because the Marlins were just going up there swinging. I don't know if that's just their plan of attack overall, or maybe it just was against the Braves in this series. Maybe they're just ready to get the season over with already. But they were not very patient at all. And I think Reynaldo Lopez took advantage of that. Now, he did give up 10 hard hit balls in this game. That's more hit balls than he gave up soft contact in this game. But it was 10 ground outs and 2 flyouts, not just on the hard hit balls, but overall he got 10 ground outs and 2 flyouts. So a lot of that hard contact were balls that were beaten into the ground for easy ground ball outs. 95.2 mile per hour average on the 4-seam fastball. That's really good. He maxed out at 98.1 in this start. So what that is kind of telling me, and one thing with all the pitching injuries, you're hearing people talk about, one of the main concerns is pitchers who are pitching at their max every time. And it's seeming like pitchers who do that, who their average fastball velocity is very close to their max velocity. It means they're pitching at max effort most of the time. We're seeing a lot of those pitchers who are winding up injured. But what I'm looking at, or what I'm seeing with Reynaldo Lopez, with his average fastball at 95, but he can touch 97, 98. And you heard Chadwick Trump after the game say he thinks Reynaldo Lopez could throw 97 every pitch if he wanted to. So I think we're seeing a Ronaldo Lopez who knows he can get by with 94, 95, 96. But if he needs it, he has 97, 98 in the tank if he needs to reach back for a little bit extra. And if that's legitimately what he is doing, and again, all signs kind of indicate that, and what you're hearing from himself, and like I said, Chadwick Trump after the game, I think that's a great strategy for him, especially who's somebody who is coming from the bullpen into the rotation to save some of those bullets and to save some of that high velocity. It's not only going to allow him to go deeper into games, keep him fresh throughout the season, but hopefully prevent injury from him not pitching at max effort on every pitch, which I think is probably the direction that a lot of pitchers need to go in. So that's encouraging for me. Only 5 curveballs in this game, 1 changeup. As I mentioned, that changeup was at 113 miles per hour for a home run. Now, I thought he threw some good changeups in his last outing. I'm not ready for him to just completely ditch that pitch, but he hasn't really needed any of those. I mean, 5 curveballs, and really look at the spray chart for those curveballs, they're kind of all over the place. So those 2 pitches, he just doesn't seem to have a great feel for at the moment, but he hasn't really needed either one of them. He's been able to get by with the fastball slider combination. 18 swinging strikes. That is an excellent mark. Really, anything over double digits is really good. Anything over 15 is great. And he had 18, 13 of those coming on the slider with 21 swings against his slider. Only 7 called strikes. I think that speaks more to the fact of the Marlins just being super aggressive at the plate. And this is why I say I'm hoping it's the case that Reynaldo Lopez was taking advantage of that. He only threw 37 pitches that would register in the strike zone, 45 pitches thrown outside of the strike zone. I'm hoping that was more a case of him taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the Marlins hitters and throwing pitches off the plate, knowing that they would chase. Obviously, you look at the results, and that worked out pretty well. They swung at 46 pitches that he threw and took just 36. So clearly, this is in a Marlins team that is super, super aggressive. And I think just Lopez and Chadwick Trump took advantage of that. And that's why you saw so many pitches thrown outside of the zone. No reason to really give them anything good to swing at if they're going to be over aggressive like that. But from the start on Wednesday, again, I don't love all the hard hit balls, but there are plenty of good pitchers that give up hard contact, but can still be very, very successful. But I love the fact, 2 things that I love from the start on Wednesday. One, he's able to save that velocity for when he needs it. You're seeing his average, 2 to 3 miles difference than his max, which he can reach back and get when he needs to. And I love the fact that they changed up the game plan, or I'm assuming that they changed up the game plan to based on the over aggressiveness of the Marlins to throw more pitches out of the zone and get them to chase. And that's evident by the 18 swinging strikes that he got. Now, the question for Braves fans right now is, can he sustain this? It is a failed starter. I mean, it is what it is. He was a failed starter who got moved to the bullpen, saw an uptick in velocity, saw an uptick in performance, and now he's trying to move back to the rotation. How sustainable is this for Reynaldo Lopez? Can he continue to be the pitcher that he's been so far? 4 games started this season. Braves have been very cautious with him, giving him extra days when they can, and they'll continue to do that throughout the season. But he's 2-0, 25 innings pitched, a 0.72 ERA, a 0.88 whip, 8 walks to 24 strikeouts, the 1 home run, which he gave up on Wednesday, 24 hits, 2 earned runs allowed. Obviously, great numbers. Now, I don't think he's going to pitch to a sub-1 ERA this year, but perhaps we do have to, or at least I have to, change my evaluation of him, moving him from the bullpen to a starter just based on the evidence that we had from history. I would have told you that I think he's probably a number 4 starter who can sometimes pitch like a number 3. With what we've seen so far, I think maybe I have to change my evaluation to view him as somebody who is a number 3 starter who sometimes pitches like a 2. Now, obviously, what he's done so far, he's pitching like a 1. I got to believe there's going to be a little bit of regression there for Lopez. Again, I don't think he's going to pitch to a sub-1 ERA all year. But from what we've seen so far and how effective he's been, I do think whatever you thought of him coming in, maybe move it up a notch. For me, I thought he was a 4 with 3 upside. Now I'm maybe looking at him as a 3 with a number 2 upside. if the postseason started today, I don't know how he doesn't leapfrog Charlie Morton as that number 3 starter. I still have Fried and Sale ahead of Lopez, but again, we got a long way to go. But if the postseason started today, I think Reynaldo Lopez is my number 3 starter over Charlie Morton. I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind here. He's faced the White Sox, who are 30th and last in all of baseball in OPS. He has faced the Marlins, who are second to last in all of baseball in OPS. Now, he's also faced the Mets and the Astros, who are both top 12 in baseball in OPS. So 2 really bad lineups, 2 really good lineups, or at least top half of the league lineups. But he has had some good fortune in terms of the matchups. He's also gotten that extra rest. They've been very careful with him, and I got to think that's helped. To me, it's all about the fastball. Again, it's just 2 pitches, but in order for that slider to be as effective as it has been, he has to be able to locate that fastball. And to this point, he's done that. You look at some of the Stuff Plus models, which you can check out over at Fangraphs. It's a model that judges the characteristics of a pitch, like release point, velocity, vertical, horizontal movement, and spin rate, everything that we can look at, data-wise to tell us, does this pitch, can it be an effective pitch? 97 Stuff Plus, that's overall. That's 3rd best on the team behind Pierce Johnson, Chris Sale, and AJ Minter, so 4th best on the team, rather. Johnson has a ridiculous Stuff Plus of 135, by the way. 97 is good. It's not great. You look at the Stuff Plus on his fastball, it's 92. Again, not terrible, not great, but you look at it on his slider, a 115 Stuff Plus. So that is his money pitch, and it's the pitch you want to go to get outs. But again, for me, in order for that pitch to be as successful as it has been, it's all predicated on setting up that fastball, having the good velocity on that fastball, but more importantly, the location of it to be able to play that slider off of it. Very similar to Spencer Strider. He is not Spencer Strider. I'm not saying that. He obviously isn't going to get the strikeouts of a Spencer Strider, but it's the same idea of establishing an upper, mid to upper 90s fastball at the top of the zone inside to righties, and to be able to run the slider off of it and to be able to tunnel those 2 pitches well. We've seen, not just with Strider, we're going to talk about Jared Jones later in Around the League segment. He's been able to do it as well. It's a very good pitch mix right now. Obviously, playing with that mid to upper 90s fastball and playing that slider off of it. It's been successful for relievers for a while, but we really are not accustomed to seeing that be able to go through a lineup 2 or 3 times. But here recently, again, in the case of Strider, Jared Jones, others as well, and now we're seeing with Lopez, you're able to get through a lineup 2 or 3 times just with that pitch mix because it is so good. But one of those pitches has to be elite, and right now his slider is that pitch. So I think it is not a sub-1 ERA, but I think it is sustainable for Reynaldo Lopez to be a good starting pitcher. Again, in my mind, I've kind of changed my evaluation as from thinking of him more as a 4 with 3 upside as a 3 with number 2 upside. And that's how good he's been so far. And hopefully he can keep it up for the Atlanta Braves, because they certainly could need that in the rotation, not just for this year, but going forward. So great start to the year for Reynaldo Lopez. No, I went kind of long on that, but I really wanted to dig more into Lopez to see what's going on. How effective is he being with his stuff? Is it just luck? It's not luck. I mean, it's 4 starts now, and they've all been great. And again, it's all predicated on him setting up that fastball with that elite slider that he has. I want to talk a little bit more about Wednesday's game, the defense from Riley and Arcia over there. Marcelo Osuna, I don't know what to do other than laugh at this point because it's just incredible. And then obviously Michael Harris with the big walk-off hit. We'll talk about that more here next. My wife and I started looking for life insurance several years ago as the family was growing. We're now up to 3 kids. And so wanted to make sure that we had some life insurance, and it was a super stressful process. I wish we would have known about Policygenius at that time. They are the country's leading online insurance marketplace, saving you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. All right, guys and gals, I need you to listen up here for just a second. I got a huge announcement. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I'm super pumped to announce I'm finally at the top. I'm terrible at Monopoly, but you could be on the new smash hit mobile game, Monopoly Go. You've probably heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on the classic Monopoly game, and you can play it anywhere, anytime. Explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune. Charge rent on iconic properties, just like the classic Monopoly game. You can charge your friends rent on iconic properties or go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. But my favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. So go get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store and Google Play. Are you watching Fox Sports, ESPN on your TV all day because you like to hear that sports action going on in the background, but you're constantly having to mute it or turn it down because all they do is shout about nothing just to hear themselves? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day, bringing you the best and biggest stories from all the sports around. That's Locked On Sports Today. You can find it on YouTube, streaming 24/7, or on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, we're recording this on Thursday morning, going to get it posted, and then coming right back to you on Thursday night with the off day. We are going to have a live in-season podcast, mailbag podcast. So get ready to submit your question to that and join me live on Thursday night. I want to jump back into Wednesday night's game real quick, though. I got to talk about the defense. It's been so good this year, especially around the infield after last year really kind of poor, especially on the right side. And there's still questions on the right side with Ozzie coming back. He's still having his struggles. I feel like Matt Olson's been much better, even though I know he had a bit of a misplay on Wednesday that led to the 2 runs in the 9th inning. But the left side in particular, Riley and Arcia, a couple of game-saving plays. Arcia making one in the 9th inning to cut a run down at home to keep the game tied. Austin Riley in the 10th inning to nail the go-ahead runner at the plate. Just an incredible play. Catching it on his knee, making a spin, firing a strike to home. And d'Arnaud had the runner with 5-10 feet away from home plate in plenty of time. Both of those plays just incredible. It seems like every night, those two guys, especially on the left side, are just making great plays. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. And so I'm loving the defense of this Braves infield. Loving the defense I've seen from Guillorme and David Fletcher. Again, as I said the other day, Ozzie Albies is my everyday second baseman. I want him back in there, but it's been a lot of fun to see the defense of Guillorme and Fletcher, knowing they're capable over there to hold things down. And like I said, the play from Matt Olson on Wednesday night, look, that's a tough one. It had a lot of topspin on it. It hit that ground and just took off on him. I think he was trying to come up on it, catch it, maybe fire home to get the out at home. Bases were loaded. Hindsight, because of that topspin, you probably sit back on it, catch it, get the easy out at first base. But understand Matt Olson maybe trying to do a little too much there, and also probably just didn't recognize the spin on that baseball, knowing it was going to take off like that. And then offensively, I don't know what else to say about Marcell Ozuna at this point. It's almost to the point of it was with Ronald last year, where it's just every night he's doing something that makes you say, wow. And this is another one of those nights. 3 hits, 4 hard hit balls, 2 more runs batted in. He shot one the other way. I mean, he's doing everything. And the guy is just unreal at the moment. Again, we're almost at a full calendar year now. At the beginning of May is when he took off last season after a terrible April. So we're talking about almost a full year of at-bats. And Marcell Ozuna, I think you could say, is easily one of the top 5, top 10 hitters in all of baseball from what we've seen from him from the past year. taking what he did from May on last year into this season, it's just truly remarkable, the turnaround in his career. But again, what I always talk about with Marcell Ozuna, and I discussed this on the podcast with Peter Pratt on a Wednesday. If you haven't checked that out, please go back and do so. It's a great conversation. We're not just breaking down the series that is over now between the Braves and Marlins, but really talking about the state of both franchises. And Peter is a great podcast host for Locked On Marlins. So go back and give that a listen if you haven't already. But he asked me specifically about Marcell Ozuna and the changes that he's made and what I'm seeing with him that has really turned things around. And I talked about it on the podcast here. So if you're an everydayer, and if you're an everydayer, let me know in the comments section. But it's the fact that he's just become a more well-rounded offensive player. It is no longer just boom or bust. Even when he was bad, I said, you give him 500, 600 plate appearances, he's going to hit 30 home runs, but it's going to be a 240 average, a low on base percentage, nothing else in between, a lot of highs and lows. That was Marcell Ozuna, I think, even at his best before 2023. But what I saw last year that really changed my mind is the fact that he's taking his walks. He'll shoot the ball the other way for a single. It's not just everything pull happy, home run happy, which is still there. You come inside to him, he's going to make you pay. But it's the fact, as we saw on Wednesday night, he'll take a ball and shoot it the other way for a hit. He'll hit some line drives over the shortstop like we saw on Wednesday. And when it comes time and he gets a pitch inside that he can pull, he's going to yank one out. And it's just become a more complete offensive profile for Marcell Ozuna. It's not just a one-trick pony anymore. He's able to do a little bit of everything for you at the plate. And that's really what has impressed me and changed my mind the most on Marcell Ozuna, that he can still be a really good hitter. Like I said, maybe one of the best hitters in baseball over the last calendar year. But Michael Harris as well, got to talk about him. Big night that he had. He is batting .330 on the season. Now, his expected batting average is .285. He has a batting average on balls in play at .377. So there's going to be some regression. But what a hot start for Michael Harris. And he got a little bit robbed on Wednesday as well. A ball that should have been a foul ball that clearly bounced off the ground, then off Betancourt's foot. Betancourt is an amazing story in my mind. I feel like he was a Braves top prospect 20 years ago, and he's still playing in the big leagues. But he kind of sold it, I guess. No umpire apparently saw that ball hit off the ground. Either way, Michael Harris gets the last laugh with the walk-off hit in extra innings. But just off to a great season. I was very high on him coming into the year as an all-star, breakout type of candidate. It's hard to call a rookie of the year winner a breakout, but there is another level to his game. He had 2 hard hit balls, and the walk-off was 94.2 miles per hour. In order to register as a hard hit ball, it has to be 95 or higher. So 3 really well hit balls on Wednesday night. So Michael Harris off to a great start. That batting average is always seeming to be there for him. I still want to see, the power. I think the power comes. You're seeing him run a little bit more. I know he got caught stealing on this night as well, and has been caught stealing a couple of times, but I love to see him being more aggressive on the base pass, using that speed to his advantage. So really excited about this season for Michael Harris. A great game on Wednesday, a sweep. Look, anytime you can get a sweep, it is obviously great. I don't care who it's against, how well or bad that team is playing. A sweep is a sweep, and the Braves were able to get one of the Marlins, continue this nice homestand. Their only loss coming on Sunday Night Baseball in a game started by, Darius Vines, who has been okay for the Braves and can be okay. But certainly it's been a good homestand for the Braves, and now they got to get set to face the best team from the American League in the Cleveland Guardians. We'll preview that a little bit more on Thursday night's live podcast. But next, we're going to take you around the league. Who's off to hot starts? What are the standings looking like at the moment? We'll discuss all of that here next. Spring training is over. Baseball season is in full swing now. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBI, or first inning runs. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players to create your entry and get ready today. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. All you got to do, pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats and watch the winnings roll in. And you can pick from different sports as well. You want to pick LeBron. I think he's still in the postseason, NBA postseason going on. You can pick Ohtani. You can pick hockey players out there. They have so much for you to choose from. And again, all you got to do is pick more or less on certain stat categories out there. You can go check out right now. I see they got one for Michael Soroka, 4.5 pitcher strikeouts. All you got to do, more or less on that against the Twins. The Twins strike out a lot. Michael Soroka hasn't been very good this year, but that's really all you have to do. It is that simple. Just go check out PrizePicks today. Download the app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. All right, let's take you around the league this week. Again, remind you on Thursday night, we'll have a live mailbag episode. So get ready for that. It should be a lot of fun. Don't get to do a lot of live podcasts during the season. So I know a lot of you looking forward to that. Let's start with the standings. And you take a look around the league. The Yankees are leading the AL East at 17-8, just a half game ahead of the Baltimore Orioles. Every team in the AL East still has a record of 500 or better, probably the best division in all of baseball. I think it is the best division in all of baseball. The Guardians, who the Braves are about to play, they have a 17-7 record. They do have a game on Thursday afternoon. They lead the AL Central by 2.5 games over the Royals. Tigers at 14-11 too. So you got 3 teams over 500 in the AL Central. In the AL West, you got 1 team over 500. It is the Texas Rangers at 13-12, a half game ahead of the Seattle Mariners, who the Braves will face out in Seattle here pretty soon. They're 12-12. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. The Angels there, Wash's club, 3 games back at 10-15, and the Astros 7-18 in last place in the AL West. I wanted to mention the White Sox too. They're 3-21 on the year. Absolutely terrible, minus 82 run differential. Braves lost a game to them. That is baseball sometimes. Braves lead the NL East by 3 games over the Philadelphia Phillies, who are 7-3 in their last 10 games. That's really good. So are the Mets, but the Braves are 9-1 in their last 10 games. You know, those 2 teams got to be hating it. They get on a good run, but so do the Braves. In the NL Central, Brewers are 15-8, Cubs are 15-9, the Reds are 14-10. All 3 of those teams kind of bundled up at the top. The Pirates are 13-12. They're over 500. Cardinals 11-14. Curious about the Cardinals and what they're going to do this year, how quickly they may sell some things off there. In the NL West, the Dodgers are up a game and a half over the Padres. Diamondbacks and Giants both at 12-14, hanging in there. The Rockies 6-19. When do we get to play them? So those are your standings right now around Major League Baseball. Some of your highlights: offensive stars. Ohtani leads all of baseball with an OPS of 1128. Ozuna is second at 1094, but Ohtani just absolutely crushing the baseball. Elly De La Cruz for the Reds, one of the most exciting players coming up last year. The Braves got to see him in the middle of his hot streak. Seems like he's on another hot streak to begin this season. 7 home runs and 15 stolen bases. He is absolutely on fire. So is Alec Bohm. He is carrying that Phillies offense right now. Bryce Harper out on paternity leave, and Alec Bohm stepping up. 337, 430, 558 slash line, 14 walks to 16 strikeouts. Is this the breakout year for Alec Bohm over there at third base for the Phillies? The Contreras brothers both have an OPS over 950. William Contreras having a fantastic year. I know that kills Braves fans to hear, but I'm really happy for him. Mike Trout leads all of baseball with 10 home runs. Ozuna is second with 9. And I want to say Mike Trout has like 12 RBIs, even with those 10 home runs. It's really just incredible. Wash moved him up to the leadoff spot over there. Yeah, Mike Trout has 10 home runs and 13 runs batted in on the year. That just seems impossible, but that's that Angels lineup for you. Ozuna leads all of baseball with 29 runs batted in. Second best is 23. So he's got a pretty big advantage there. I want to talk about Ronald Acuna for a second. He is second in all of baseball with 23 runs. Betts is first, but he's played 3 more games. Ronald is third with 11 steals, and he's 14th in on-base percentage at .407. If you didn't know about the power potential of Ronald Acuna Jr., and you just saw he's batting leadoff, and he's second in baseball in runs, he's 14th in on-base percentage, he's third in steals, that is a great traditional leadoff hitter. But what makes him so special, obviously, is the power, which will come. But just as a traditional leadoff hitter, he's the best in baseball at just doing that, getting on base, stealing bases, scoring runs. That's what you want your leadoff hitter to do. But obviously, Acuna, the power potential that he has will come, and that's what makes him an MVP candidate. Looking at some pitching stars so far, Boston's Cutter Crawford leads Major League Baseball with a 0.66 ERA. Reynaldo Lopez, though, right behind him at 0.72. Jose Barrios is the only other qualified starter under 1. Tyler Glass now leads baseball with 44 strikeouts in 6 starts. He's already thrown 37 innings this year. We'll see if the Dodgers kind of are careful with him. Jared Jones apparently is the new Spencer Strider. He's got that fastball slider combination we kind of touched on earlier. The rookie has a 2.79 ERA, a 0.83 whip, and 39 strikeouts in 29 innings. I wanted to mention this just because I was filtering stats. Michael Soroka has the worst ERA among qualified starters at 7.50. I really feel for Michael Soroka, cheering for him, want him to figure it out, but it has been a rough go so far for him this season. And a couple of a couple of Phillies starting pitchers that are off to great starts. Spencer Turnbull and Ranger Suarez have been amazing. They each have an ERA below 1.4 and a whip under 1. So I know their competition hasn't been the best, but those two guys stepping up in that rotation, they get those two guys behind Wheeler and Nola. Suddenly that rotation is looking really, really dangerous. So that's our trip around the league this week. Again, the Braves matching up with the best team from the AL record-wise coming up this weekend. Should be a fun matchup. We'll preview that more on Thursday night's episode, a live episode, mailbag podcast. So be ready for that. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves. And rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.